For another deep dive, today we're going to figure out how to make your dreams a reality, not just wishful thinking.
That's what we're here for.
And we'll be exploring this using a really interesting podcast episode all about goal setting.
Sounds good.
One thing that really stood out was this stat that only 8% of people actually achieve their New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, that's kind of discouraging, right? Only 8%.
It's a tiny number. What do you think makes the difference for those people who actually do reach their goals?
I think it comes down to having a good system.
Okay, so like a strategy.
Exactly. You need a framework, a way to approach those goals. And that's where the idea of SMART goals comes in.
So I know I often get stuck on how to even start with my dreams. They just feel so big and overwhelming.
I hear ya.
Can you explain how this SMART framework helps with that?
Sure. SMART is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay, so it's like a checklist to make sure your goals are, well, smart.
You got it. It's about taking those vague desires and shaping them into clear, actionable steps, like a blueprint for your dreams.
So instead of just saying, I want to get fit, which is pretty general, a SMART goal would be something more specific, right?
Right, like, I want to run a 5K in 3 months by jogging 3 times a week.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's measurable, has a time limit, and it's definitely specific.
Exactly. You've taken this huge idea of getting fit and given it some structure.
That makes sense. But does focusing too much on those little steps make you lose sight of the big picture? Like if you're always focused on finishing a design, you might never actually get around to opening your Etsy store, right?
That's a really good point. It's all about balance, I think.
Yeah.
Those small wins are important. They keep you motivated. But yeah, you got to keep your eye on the prize too.
How do you make sure those smaller steps actually lead to that bigger dream?
Well, that's where the relevant part of SMART goals comes in. Your goals should always align with your bigger purpose.
So it's not just about checking tasks off a list. It's about connecting those tasks to something that really matters to you.
Exactly. What will opening that Etsy store allow you to do? What's the bigger goal there?
So it's about remembering why you started in the first place.
Yes, it's that deeper connection that'll keep you going when things get tough or when you're tired or facing a setback. It makes those small wins feel meaningful.
That reminds me of some really inspiring stories about people who achieved incredible things. Like J.K. Rowling and Michael Phelps come to mind.
Oh yeah, they're great examples, right?
It's amazing how they both use such a focused approach to reach their dreams, even though they started from such different places.
What about their stories resonated with you the most?
Well, for J.K. Rowling, she was a single mom facing some real financial struggles when she started writing Harry Potter.
Wow, that's pretty incredible when you think about it.
She had this huge dream, but she also had a plan. She wanted to finish that first draft in 5 years, and she stuck to it.
5 years, that's dedication.
And get this, she would write in cafes with her baby sleeping next to her.
Oh, wow.
It just shows you that you can carve out time, even in the busiest life.
Right, even in unconventional places. And then you have Michael Phelps.
Yeah, he didn't just wake up one day to decide to be an Olympic swimmer.
Right. His coach broke down his goals into tiny, measurable improvements. Things like shaving zero point 0.2 seconds off his turn time by a certain date.
Wow. It's like those small improvements added up to huge results.
Exactly. It's something we can all learn from, whether we're training for the Olympics or starting that Etsy store.
It's all about those little steps. It makes me think about that dream a lot of us have, starting a side hustle. I know so many people who have done it, but it always feels so overwhelming to me.
Yeah, I get that. Where do you even begin?
Exactly. How do you go from this vague idea of start a side hustle to something you can actually act on?
Well, let's say you love designing and making things.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of start a side hustle, you could say, I'm going to launch my Etsy store with 10 products by December 1st.
Oh, I like that. It's concrete, it's got a deadline and a specific number of products.
Exactly. And then you can break it down even further. Maybe you commit to spending 30 minutes each day designing new products.
That feels a lot less intimidating than just starting a business.
Right. It's manageable. And over time, those small actions add up.
But even with a perfect plan, things don't always go smoothly.
That's true, yeah.
What are some of those goal-setting traps we should be watching out for?
One of the biggest ones is trying to do too much at once. You know, we get excited, we want to change everything overnight.
Oh, tell me about it. New year, new me, right?
Aha, exactly, but we end up overloading ourselves.
I'm so guilty of that. I get super motivated in January and then completely burn out by February.
It's a classic trap. It's why it's so important to focus on just 1 or 2 key goals at a time.
So don't try to do everything at once.
Right. Trying to juggle too many things at once can actually slow down your progress.
So overloading ourselves is a big no-no. What else trips people up when it comes to goals?
Another thing is we forget to acknowledge our progress, you know?
Oh,
We're
interesting.
so focused on the end goal that we forget to celebrate those small victories along the way.
Like finishing that one design, even if the Etsy door isn't up and running yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see how that would make the whole process feel less overwhelming.
Right. It's like climbing a mountain and only looking at the summit the whole time.
Instead of enjoying the view as you go.
Exactly. You got to take in those small moments of accomplishment. They're fuel for the next step.
So it's like that feeling of, I did it. When you finish a design, it gives you the energy to keep creating.
Exactly. So what was that third pitfall we were talking about?
Ah, right. It was giving up after a slip-up.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It's so easy to feel like you've failed if you miss a day of jogging or don't get any work done one evening.
It's like one missed day derails the entire plan.
And then it feels easier to just give up completely.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Setbacks are normal. They happen to everyone.
It's true.
It's not about never messing up. It's about how you handle it when you do.
So it's about getting back on track.
Exactly. Don't let one slip-up define the whole journey. It's like a marathon, not a sprint.
That's what you were saying earlier about persistence.
Right. Think about J.K. Rowling. Writing Harry Potter wasn't a walk in the park.
I'm sure it wasn't.
There were probably days when she wanted to quit, but she didn't. And Michael Phelps, he trained for hours every day for years.
Wow.
It wasn't just talent. It was that pure dedication.
So it's not just about being lucky or naturally gifted.
No, it's about hard work and the willingness to keep going even when it's tough. That's what makes the difference.
It makes you realize those achievements weren't just flukes, they were earned.
That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve that grit to see it through.
And it's something we can all work on, right? It's not like some magical skill.
Exactly. It's about developing that persistence. And that brings us back to the SMART goals framework.
Right. It's a support system. It breaks down those intimidating dreams into manageable steps. And those small steps, taken consistently, lead to big results.
Exactly.
This has been so helpful. I was feeling kind of overwhelmed by my dreams, but now it feels like we actually have a roadmap.
That's what we're here for. Understanding these principles gives you the tools to take control of your dreams and make them a reality.
So we've covered the framework, the pitfalls, and we've even talked about those inspiring stories.
Yeah.
But what does all this mean for our listener? What's the takeaway here?
Well, think about your own dreams. What resonated with you from this conversation?
Honestly, the idea of breaking things down really clicked for me. It's so easy to get overwhelmed, but when you chunk it down into smaller steps, it feels way more possible.
It's less climb Mount Everest and more take the first step out the door, right?
Exactly. And those inspiring stories, they're proof that it can be done. J.K. Rowling and Michael Phelps faced challenges, but they didn't just magically achieve their dreams.
They put in the work, step by step, day after day.
It wasn't overnight success, it was pure dedication.
And their stories remind us that it's not about being superhuman. It's about embracing the journey.
Yeah, with all the ups and downs.
Exactly. Setbacks and all.
One thing we haven't talked about directly is failure. I think there's a big fear of not reaching your dream at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. We tend to see failure as this endpoint, like it defines us.
But what if we looked at it differently?
What if we saw those so-called failures as feedback, opportunities to learn and grow?
That's a really great way to think about it.
It's not about never messing up. It's about how you learn from those mistakes and keep moving forward.
So it's about embracing the whole journey, even the messy parts.
Yes, and seeing those setbacks as part of the process.
And that's where having a framework like SMART goals can help, right? It's like a roadmap to keep you on track.
Exactly. You might take a wrong turn, but you always have the bigger picture in mind.
This is so empowering. It feels like we're taking control of our dreams and making them actually achievable.
You actually have the power to make it happen. You define your dreams, break them down, and build that resilience to keep going.
This deep dive has been amazing. We went from feeling overwhelmed to feeling like we actually have the tools to pursue our dreams. Yeah, it's like we've unlocked this secret to success.
Well, it's less about magic and more about mindset, really.
Mindset over magic. I like that.
And one of the most powerful mindset shifts is seeing those failures, as we call them, as part of the process.
And that is the end of the world.
Exactly. They can actually teach us so much.
It's like that saying, you learn more from your mistakes.
Exactly. Every setback, every obstacle, it's all valuable information.
It helps you adjust your approach, right?
Yeah. You got to look at it and say, okay, that didn't work, so what can I try differently?
It's like a puzzle, figuring out what works.
Exactly. But so many people get stuck in that fear of failure.
They don't even try because they're afraid to mess up.
Yeah. Which is a shame because you learn so much from those moments when you step outside of your comfort zone.
It's about embracing the whole journey, right?
The messy parts, too. It's all part of the process.
It makes me think about how our dreams can impact more than just ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. It's bigger than just us.
Like they can actually make a difference in the world.
Yeah, when you chase your dreams, you put your talents and passions out there, and that can inspire
It
others.
creates a ripple effect.
Exactly. It can even lead to positive change, contributing to something bigger than yourself.
It's like those stories we were talking about with J.K. Rowling and Michael Phelps.
Oh, yeah. Great example.
Their achievements have inspired millions of people. They didn't just reach their own goals, they changed the world.
And who knows, maybe your dream will inspire someone else too.
It's like you become part of their story.
Exactly. And even if you don't achieve every single thing you set out to do, the journey itself is so valuable.
It shapes who you become.
It's about embracing the whole experience, the ups and downs, the wins and losses. It's all part of something meaningful.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. The SMART Goals framework, breaking things down, celebrating the small wins,
And embracing those setbacks.
and how our dreams can inspire others and create positive change.
It's be a great conversation.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to share with our listeners?
Thinking about everything we've talked about, I keep coming back to this one question.
Oh, I love a good thought-provoking question.
So think about your dreams, the ones that really excite you.
The ones that maybe scare you a little too.
What's one tiny step, no matter how small, that you can take today to move closer to one of those dreams?
I love that. It brings it all back to action.
It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about taking that first step.
Even if it feels small.
Right, because even the biggest journeys start with a single step.
This has been such an inspiring conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us.
It was my pleasure. I always love exploring these ideas and hopefully inspiring people to go after their dreams.
And to our listeners, we hope you feel empowered to take action and make those dreams a reality.
You have the power within you to achieve amazing things. Believe in yourself, embrace the journey, and never stop chasing those dreams.